Well, I'm just aware of this like color revolution stuff. You know, I have friends from Ukraine and stuff, and it's like we're supporting the Nazis there. It's like so amazing some of the stuff that's going on, right?
Oh yeah, I mean the duality of who we support is bonkers.
This is absolutely amazing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's the same thing with like Lithuania, you know. It's like, no, we're not supporting the Russians. We're supporting the actual Nazis. They're actual Nazis. They fought for the Nazis. On their day, they dress up like Nazis because the only other side they could choose, there was nobody else. You could dress up like a Russian or you dress up like a Nazi.
Yeah.
It's like crazy stuff, right?
Well, that's one of the things we were getting into earlier when we were talking about maybe politically where Britain is going and how typically media will...
Well, we're already there. See, a lot of the things that people are worried that there's a possibility that might happen is probably already happened 40 years ago. I think that in the 30s, people don't understand. They're like, oh, read Orwell, you know, 1984, it's this book. It's the perspective is for you to identify these other things. It's for you to be on the team. It's not actually for you to prevent that from happening. A lot of these books are that way, see? And they all came from these think tanks where people talked about these scenarios of where society was gonna go, where this industrialism was headed. So, you know, you've got the Aldous Huxley, well, we're just gonna drug everybody. And then you've got Orwell with you know, we're gonna have this other thing going on with this combination. But a lot of this stuff already happened. They already put those ideas from the 30s from Tavistock into practice. Youth culture scared the shit out of the old man, the old white guy. So they thought they lost it in America, the Vietnam, when everybody stood up. So at that point, you can pinpoint the scariest thing was when John Lennon decided to lead a protest rally. You could just basically say that guy was a dead man because the old man would say, where's this headed? With the personalities going, okay, I'm gonna do this. It's more than, because a protest is really unpredictable. Everybody who's following just the person in front of them has no idea where the protest is really going. They're just talking to their neighbor, or they're got their hand up, or they're holding their picket sign. But when you got John Lennon in the front, everybody's following.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was a no-no. That's where he overstepped his line, I think. But now, you know, I'm purposely moved to Germany because it's the last place that can outwardly do all this stuff because of the history of National Socialism and fascism. So a lot of the things, you know, they can still keep tabs on people and they don't necessarily have to say so much, but the public, they're not into even the cameras or anything because of the Stasi. So everything, there's this like fine line, which I find more comfortable, even to the level of police that you would see on the street. I mean, they do come out in riot force, and they get way more serious than the Brits do in a riot with the water cannons and the truncheons and everything. It's a war on May Day. In those situations, they get hardcore, and you get the sense that if they get you in the back of the van, that they'll kick your ass. They're big and they're dumb, you know? But otherwise, they're great, you know? It's so weird, you know what I mean? Because it's so drummed into what authority should be and what it isn't, and what the role of civic-minded member of society is. So I feel really cool about living in Germany. Even though I can't vote, I feel like every aspect of my political aspirations, like, not aspirations,
sensibility.
My own sense of need, okay, my needs that need to be addressed. You can't have everything what you want now. Like certain things take time to build, and we work towards things as a society. I feel like my voice is heard and represented. It's really cool. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the conservative part of me is just built in on those guys, right? And then the green thinkers are there. So you know, I have a lot of respect for it, and I don't have to get politically involved in any of it. Do you know what I mean? It's like the atomic people. The minute there was Fukushima, they just shut down stuff and canceled stuff. And they're still burying it, but it was like, they really get active very quick. And when the USA started spying on Merkel's phone, there was an investigation, and then the head of, security said, we're dropping this matter. And then it's a coalition government, their parliament or whatever. The coalition members stood up and said, we're destroying your government. We're not dropping this because you're not elected, you're appointed. How great is that? So immediately it was open again, because it's like, you can't make this decision because we'll destroy this government. Sit back down in parliament. Isn't that great? That's the way to do it though, right?
Why did they let you do what you do then?
Well, I'm not trying to be Rosa Luxemburg and take down Germany.
No, of course, no.
And I'm really civic-minded and I pay taxes. I think, they put it, in Berlin alone, they put $1 billion a year into the arts. And that's obviously because there's a duality of German history. One side of it is quite dark. They'd rather be known for technology, all the advancement, all the wonderful things that it is to be German and European, and the arts, language and media and craftsmanship, and less about the negative histories, So that's why they do that. So they told artists to come, So I came, basically.
How long have you been there?
I think it was the end of 2007. I was going to move to Iceland, and then I started that process and everything, and then it crashed. And for a little while, I was still drunk. I was like telling my mates, let's go get a panini, because nobody had any money, and they locked everybody's bank cards up. So you can only take a little bit out a day, and you can't transfer funds. But then it's a real drag. Even if you got money to burn, it's really a drag taking everybody out to eat all the time or drink. Even if you had the money, it's just like it's really, I can't describe it, it's a really uncomfortable situation because they're uncomfortable about money. So you actually look like an idiot if you're like burning a 20,000-pound bar tab because you're sick in the head or whatever. You know what I mean? You look like a fool too. So then I ended up in Berlin. But see, I knew the writing was on the wall with Obama. I mean, I knew it was on the wall long before that, but I saw it in action. Because here's this guy, who comes out of nowhere and gets elected to like a minor little state, legislator seat. He doesn't even finish it. The next thing he's running for president and wins. And there's no photos of him anywhere. It's like, wow, okay, not only is my country totally racist, absolutely everybody is racist, most of it's racist, everybody's got guns, you know what I mean? It's like...
But there was one picture of him smoking a joint.
Photoshop, man. Anyways, what I'm saying is...
Did you do that?
It's just too freaky. Everybody's got like some kind of history, like anybody else, especially if it was the first black president of the United States, would go, and he spent the night at my house when he was 6 and wet the bed. That's our president. Everybody would... Nobody. Nobody in school. Oh, he went to Columbia Law University. Nobody remembers him. Nobody knows this guy. I think 2 people have stood up and said, oh yeah, I know him. But what's 2 people like? But you know what I mean? When I saw that happen in the election, I go, oh, this is too freaky. This is freaking me out as much as I want to see. See, to me, having a black president, you should go one step further and just saying like, no, it's like, here's the thing that physically bugs me about him, is he should stand up when this crazy stuff's going on with like the killing black guys, like in Ferguson or whatever, and just say, this is screwed on right now. Like, I'm not even gonna have any of this. But then he's got it worded in a certain way because he's black, and then all the racists don't want him to like overreact to that. So then, but he should have passed that up to make every single thing about, this on a humanistic level. See what I'm saying? Like, he should have ignored he should have immediately helped out black people and then helped out all people simultaneously, I think. But it seemed to me like, I'd already left, but it seemed to me like he was worried how that would look if he pandered to black people at all. So it seemed like he was caught in some kind of trap to me. Like, what you want is to be for everybody. So then it doesn't matter who's president, I guess, right? I would like to see a woman, but it doesn't matter. The corporation is too crazy. See, it has nothing to do with the politics. It's just like so insane, right? It's
So how does all of this stuff feed
that
into
inverted
what you
totalitarianism?
How does all this stuff feed into what you do?
Well, my game plan is to do my art as long as I possibly can, and to remain myself, and be vocally open and honest. But I'll call bullshit when I see it. And one thing that was on my mind is Russell Brand. I'm gonna call bullshit on Russell Brand's little book on revolution, because he should be able to articulate all that whole fucking book in one sentence, which is just basically, we all deserve better. And every single one of you need to figure out why that hasn't happened in my lifetime. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just making that revolution happen in your mind, going, wait a second.
Don't you think, though, that people sometimes just need to have somebody to say that to them? I mean, you're right at a fundamental level. You get it, I get it. I'm guessing that most people in here.
But you and I both practice something that a lot of people haven't done, which is what we've chosen to do with our resources that we've worked for.
Sure.
Radiates outwards. So you're part of this space. You're part of this event. People are coming. We're talking about some ideas. We did get sidetracked in some weird stuff. Like, who cares about the Middle East, right? Except they're telling you that we got to watch out for all these guys that are going to like pop out like Canada everywhere. So that's how it affects you, right? It's just like always in your face now forever. You can't even like flick on Twitter without, if you have that kind of feed or whatever, right? You know what I mean? Or whatever. It's something every day, right? So you basically got to start with you and really get into what you're doing. I mean, really, on a serious level. And what I got to tell you is, no matter what that is, if you spend 15 minutes a day getting into that, it doesn't matter what it is, you're going to see a difference in a month. And that's going to be truly inspiring to you in the way that no book is going to, because you can just see a change. And I mean, even if you go and buy a banjo, if you just pluck at it for 15 minutes a day, in 1 month, you're going to see a change. So I think that's so important. And with that kind of power, it's really cool. Even if it's gardening, see? Even if you spent 15 minutes a day gardening, you'd have a great garden and somebody's going to comment on it. It's going to start radiating outwards, radiating outwards. So without being a hippie that way.